The Lyrian force had reached the very heart of Isgith. From every branch, vine, and shrub hung leeches and ticks by the dozen. Swollen with blood, their abdomens glistened, glowing red in the misty air so putrid it set Maeve's head to spinning. She paused at a moss-covered boulder, pressed her flushed forehead against its cool surface. Her soldiers passed by, pallid, filthy, drained. She wished to say something, lift their spirits, but instead a cough rattled her breast. Suddenly, splashes all around Maeve in the water, as if a rain of fist-sized drops had begun to fall. The Queen lifted her heavy gaze. Seemingly on command, ticks and leeches dropped into the warm, soupy waters, then clumsily wriggled off toward a dead alder grove. Maeve knew at once what skulked behind the trees. Gurnikora, Isgith's mistress, Isgith's queen.
Weapons at the ready!
The queen roared.
Close ranks!
The Lyrians quickly converged, formed a wall of shields, and crouched behind them. Terrified, they stared as a multitude of eyes flashed open midst the branches while revolting, muck-covered beasts rose from the gurgling waters around. Maeve silently uttered a prayer. Hail Melitele, great mother, maiden and crone, ever have us in your care.
Everyone, rally to me!
Majesty! These parasites! They feed on her blood!
Quicker they are, easier they are to target.
Every rib's a thief. Catch!
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
How quickly the scales tip.
Water. That's a poison.
God save the Queen!
These ghastly beasts can be slain. They can be overcome.
Cursed traitors.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Remember that unwarranted arrogance kills, slowly and insidiously.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. Get it to work.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
I smell a leak.
I believe it's dead.
Of the battle in Isgith, Meve remembered very little. It seemed a nightmare, its details a haze, the sensations very real. Amidst a thick fog, she fought in a frenzy, desperately hacking at the scourge that advanced from all sides. In the end, silence fell over the swamp. Its boiling waters lay calmed. The ticks and leeches were gone, while Guernicora lay among rotting leaves, covered in blood, unmoving, but still a fearsome sight.
Burn the corpse,
Rasped the Queen.
and we move on.
The soldier's eyes darted about in a series of silent glances. It took Meve a moment to realize the difficulty. They still feared it. Though the monster's lifeless body lay on the ground, they dared not go near. Were she to repeat the order, they would carry it out. Yet she did not wish to force that on them. Swallowing her own revulsion, she walked up to Guernicora's corpse and set it alight. The air soon filled with the suffocating stench of burning hair and flesh. Sparks belched out as melting fat fell on flame. Until finally, nothing was left of the bloody mistress but scorched bone. The Lyrians resumed their march towards the banks of the Yaruga. They forced their weary legs to maintain a swift pace and stole no second glance at what they'd left behind.
Arnulf, find a place at one of the tables. Have a drink. Meet my men.
Think there's been a failure to communicate, lass? I didn't join your army to meet men, but to meet death. A good, honourable death. Quicker you lead me to that, the better.
I wish not to pry, but why do you long for death?
For only death can cleanse me of shame. You must have heard what they call me. Arnulf the Patricide. A moniker I earned. Oh, I did.
To die by one's child's hand. A terrible fate. And it shall be mine as well if I lose this war.
But did you earn it? This fate?
What? Not always have I been just with villain. I dismissed him, neglected him, but...
Neglected? Listen, lass. My da, he beat me till my skin turned blue and I chucked red bile. He'd drink and beat, drink and beat. My brother, Ulf, da clobbered him to death. My ma, she took her own life. Never met this son of yours. But I know you's a bit now, and I can say this. No kin of yours needs slaying.
I can't help but wonder, what does it signify? The tattoo on your head?
Ain't a tattoo. Carve these runes with a knife.
The method makes little difference. What do they mean?
Aim here. Message for enemy archers. Alas, don't seem they can read it. At least not from a distance. And when they get close, it's already too late for them.
So long, Arnulf.
Yes, milady?
Other matters await my attention.
As you wish, my... Neve,
No need to say any more, Gascon.
But you've got to know.
Every time you bring it up, I'm tempted to change my mind. Now let's turn to the task at hand. It's time I attended to...
Your Grace, I wished once more to express my gratitude for your show of mercy.
I showed mercy, true, but felt much more. Anger, pain, now resentment. You hurt me, Reynard. Wounded me to the bloody core. I don't know what else to say on the matter, so let's not speak of it.
As you wish, Your Grace.
It's time I attended to what...
always good to see the Queen. How can I help you?
We shall return to this conversation.
No skin off my back.
I'm pleased to see you again, Mom. You need something?
Duty calls. I must go.
Of course.
One day, the quartermaster approached with news to report. Alas, bad news.
Your Grace, our food stocks have near run out. And about villages, folk have naught to spare, not even to trade.
The Queen dispatched small groups of scouts. They were to scour the countryside for hunting camps, beekeepers, charcoal burners, any souls willing to trade food for coin or goods. The first scouts came back around dusk. The last 3 detachments returned not at all. At first, Meve suspected they'd fallen prey to monsters, the beastly or Nilfgaardian kind. Later, she learned the men had left naught of their belongings behind. She'd been soft-hearted toward deserters. This lot decided they, too, would give it a try. That night, Meve lay still but sleepless. Beneath thin covers, she was cold, hungry, irate. towering alders grow thick in Isgith, their crowns weaving an expansive canopy that obscures the sky. Any sunbeams to slip through this twisted thicket scatter in the milky mist below. Thus the marsh abides in a state of perpetual twilight, wherein a sense of time and direction are easily lost. As the force moved along, a glow appeared in the trees. The Lyrians squinted, their mouths agape in wonder. An orb hung over the water, pulsating, humming. It circled the soldiers, darted off a distance, then hovered as if waiting.
A will-o'-the-wisp, that is.
Whispered one of the footmen.
Believe it's keen to show us something.
Meve knew the wisp could prove treacherous, lead them into a trap. Nonetheless, she followed, though not entirely certain why. Her soldiers seemed eager. She sensed they approved. Yet she was also simply curious.
We follow it. Carefully. Weapons at the ready.
As the wisp led the Lyrians down a narrow, winding path, Meve surveyed her surroundings warily. Beads of sweat emerged upon her brow, but her fears in the end proved unfounded. For at the path's end, the troops found what appeared to be a caravan's remains. Its wagons, rot-eaten, half buried in the bog, had sat there for decades, perhaps longer. Despite this, gilded panels and scraps of silver-threaded fabric showed they'd once been rather ornate. Inside the wagons, the soldiers discovered many steel crates. Rust-covered but intact, they contained truly dazzling treasures. Sacks bulging with gold coin, pearl-encrusted goblets, exotic velvets and silks in beads.
Blimey, the sheer amount. And here of all places.
A footman muttered under his breath. Meve quickly pieced it all together. She too had once ridden in such a caravan, splendid and laden with gold, when she'd left her home to marry. The rest of the story was not difficult to divine. This was a maiden's dowry. She and her retinue lost their way. Isgith proved their grave, unbeknownst to any other. The wisp circled Meve's party, blinked several times, then faded into thin air. The troops resumed their march, and all seemed in order. Seemed, for soon several footmen were discovered to be gone. Greed had been their ruin. They'd grabbed too much. The loot had weighed them down, and the marsh had embraced them.
Queen! God save the Queen!
You mad? Don't shake that!
Fuck, our arse is moving.
Give me a time.
This could hurt. Watch your heads!
Tell me you jest.
Our ballista, your command.
Ha ha! Leave it to us!
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Ever up a storm, knock out one you'd see.
What you looking at?
What do you want of me?
To the last!
Wait, you're serious?
Yeah! Huh! Ha! Yeah! Huh! Ah! Ha! Ah! Yeah! Huh! Ha! Ah! Yeah!
In evading Nilfgaard's banners, Meve led her force into Angren's wildest reaches. The foe could not attack the Lyrians there, yet hazards of another sort befell them. One day they reached a quagmire too vast and deep to ford. So the Queen summoned her engineer, Xavier, and called on him to build a makeshift bridge. By nightfall, he had drawn up plans.
We shall start by laying abutments, then drive piles into the mire.
The depth?
We dropped plumb lines. 4 Ls.
Seen by the plans, Meve did not see as Xavier slipped a line off his shoulder. By the time she felt it on her throat, she feared it might be too late.
I long awaited this moment, when we would be alone. You die now, Majesty, and with you dies Lyria's, the whole North's will to resist. Hail, Ketzer, hail!
What died was the Nilfgaardian rallying cry in Xavier's throat. At the last instant, Gascon and Reynard rushed in to save the warrior queen, and thus proved their loyalty beyond any doubt.
Your Grace! Your Grace!
There was no answer, but Reynard could hear her breathe. Meve would live. It was several hours later when Meve finally came to. She opened her eyes, then Gascon and Reynard helped her to her feet.
Careful, Your Majesty.
I should have been more careful earlier. Damn it. If you two hadn't...
No need for words. You needn't mention it.
I couldn't disagree more. We're due for a long conversation. First of all, I owe you thanks. Second, my trust in you both has been heavily tarnished. I believe that goes without saying. Yet today you proved beyond all doubt that I can rely on you. So I thank you.
To serve under your banner, Majesty, it is an honor.
Likely I'd have put it differently, but Reynard seems to have the right idea.
Very well. We've reassured ourselves of admiration for one another enough. We've matters to which we must attend. I trust as I lay there dead to the world, you did not sit about with your thumbs up your bums. Have you at least learned why Xavier betrayed us, sided with the Empire?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Your Grace, the rogue who lunged at you, in truth, was one Gwalter ep Luinoch, a Nilfgaardian spy.
Just a moment, that makes no sense. He saved my life in Mahakam, on the bridge.
He did, for he had to.
In one of the letters we found, Dahi orders Gwalter to watch over Elder-in-Chief Hoog. The Scoia'tael in the mountains was sent there by Nilfgaard to recruit dwarves, but their commander, the Vixen, they feared she'd attack Bruva himself, something Dahi wished to avoid.
Naturally. For someone else could seize power, someone not so neutrally inclined. Someone more likely to aid me, gods forbid. This discovery you made how?
We found in his toolbox a concealed compartment, letters inside. Though encrypted, we managed to decipher them. They were the Grey Rider for you to read.
The swine. An Imperial spy in my ranks this whole time. But to wait so long to strike, why?
He'd only just received the order. Another letter in the box, signed by General Dahi, stated, "To Gwalter Luinoch, eliminate M at first opportunity."
Honourless bastards. They'll stop at nout.
Now, Maeve, you'll gain nout by getting riled. No sense to it. This is good news, in fact.
Is that so?
Think. Dahi had a spy in our midst. He knew our movements, had his eye on us, his finger on the pulse. He knew our plans, who we parlayed with, and yet he didn't order your assassination. For you posed no threat. Well, clearly so much changed. Congratulations! Nilfgaard fears you now.
And rightly so. But we found him in the rubble at Rosberg, midst the ashes.
Precisely what placed him beyond suspicion.
We suspect Gwalter enlisted with the Edanians some years past, infiltrated that army.
He had a hand in Rosberg's defense. Then, when the time was right, he lent that same hand to its demise. Caused an explosion that tore a hole through its walls. It worked, but at a price. He suffered severe burns. If not for our medics, he'd have...
Stop. So it was not elves who brought about the fort's fall as he claimed?
A filthy lie to stoke the fires of racial hatred, to stir conflict and chaos and rage that would make the realm of Edirn waver and fall.
If we're to judge by Rayla's actions, he was rather successful.
Bastard. Yet even so badly hurt, in such pain, not for a moment did he drop his mummer's act.
I've heard much of Nilfgaardian spies, Your Grace. They're trained from childhood, face constant indoctrination. They do anything for the Emperor, anything and everything. As soon as Gwalter spotted a chance to join our ranks, to be at your side, he took it, exploited it ably.
To be brief, I've traitors all about me.
Your Grace, you resent our actions, I understand, but...
You, Willem, the Cad Caldwell, Gascon, Gabor, finally Xavier. Tell me how. How am I to trust anyone?
You can't. Amongst all the realms in the north, you're Nilfgaard's sole rival. One remaining threat. All other rulers either soundly defeated and enchained, or tails tween their legs, they've donned Nilfgaard's leash. The Black-Clads will do all to destroy you, if not upon the field, then in secret, with an assassin and a quick, sharp blade.
What's left? Prayer? Melitele too is sure to turn and take Nilfgaardian gold sooner or later. Ugh. We've talked enough. We must form up. Move on.
Majesty, you ought to rest. You stand swaying. Your step can't be too sure.
Only my horse needs step true.
Maeve, you've just about had the life choked out of you. No time to play the hero.
I'm not Gascon. Quite the opposite, actually. These damn swamps, they terrify me. I wish to get the hell out and never, ever look back.
The Aruga lies near. I sent scouts ahead. They've secured a barge. We can sail to Red Lobindon.
Splendid. Sound the horns. We march.
I'm pleased to see you again.
Duty calls.
Of course.
Sandflies and mosquitoes blanketed Maeve's face and neck. She did not bother to brush them away. She'd been in Angren long enough to know more would come in their place.
Your Majesty,
Reynard called from behind.
our scouts have returned. We've a large force of blackclads on our tail, infantry and horsemen, and they draw nearer.
Blast!
Maeve wiped away the sweaty hair stuck to her brow.
What say you, Reynard? Shall we give them a fight?
We're but a few miles from the river, where a barge awaits. It makes no sense to battle now.
Though near her strength's end, Maeve stepped up her pace. She could not wait to stand upon a barge deck and leave Angren's infernal bogs behind. Alas, in place of the promised vessel, they found only severed moorings.
No! No, it can't be!
Suddenly, Maeve drove her fist into the trunk of the nearest tree. Fortunately, a soft and rotted one.
This isn't so!
Your Grace, have mercy. I stepped away but for a spell,
Croaked a scout, pale as a ghost.
and thieves jumped out the underbrush. Fell upon it. Whole band of them. A white-haired warrior, a minstrel, and a lass what had a bow.
Well, is that all?
Interrupted Gascon.
No vampire sat upon an ass with no saddle? You cocked up, man, damn it. Maeve, what now?
The Queen turned back towards the swamp. Between the trees, she glimpsed a golden sun glimmering upon a banner.
We shall discuss that later,
Said the Queen, drawing her sword.
provided we survive. Everyone, rally to me! Drive them back!
Catch! I smell a leak.
Looking to dance, mate?
Your life is mine now.
Have her done in a jiffy.
Wise choice.
Waiting for a personal invitation?
Alba!
Sod it all.
Order!
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
Scoia'tael! Attack! Life is mine now.
March on.
To thee, Nidloir!
We must trust each other.
Nes tedatu. Yes.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Hail, Kerzer! Essela Zweifel! Ja! Ja! Hail, Herzer! Yes!
Got sand up shit.
Your Grace, that was but their vanguard.
Near the battle's end, Mee faced a black-clad officer. Nimbly dodging his strike, she countered. The Queen's sword sank deep, the hilt rattling his breastplate. A rush of hot blood covered Meave's hands. The winged helmet toppled from the officer's head, exposing a sweaty face, gasping for breath.
Nin! When?
Before the Queen stood a ruddy-haired boy with long eyelashes. He was Willem's age, perhaps a bit older. His body slumped, then disappeared beneath the malodorous foam atop the murky waters. Meave cast away her sword as if it had burned her hand.
Majesty, what is it? Are you hurt?
Reynard said, rushing to her side.
No, I'm not. It's fine. Give the order to march. With no barge, we must walk to Red Lobington along the riverbank.
Your Majesty, we must tend to the wounded. Use the rest of the day, I wager.
We ain't time enough for that.
Interjected Gascon.
That was but the vanguard sent in pursuit to slow us down. And even so, they outnumbered us 2 to 1. What happens when the main force arrives? We must flee. Now.
And abandon the injured, to bleed to death in the mud.
Alas, Reynard, yes. Unless you'd rather we stayed and died with them.
Gascon is right. Should Nilfgaard close the distance between us, we'll stand little chance.
Phew. At least you've the sense to...
But I would sooner perish than let my men rot in this accursed swamp. The medics will tend to all the wounded. Then, what will be, will be.
I tell you what'll be.
Snarled Gascon.
Ep die, he'll take a butcher's hook and gut you. Then hang you from Lyria capital's walls. Yet, if this be your wish...
Niamh waited for the medics to sew the last stitch, tie off the last bandage. Only then did she order her force to move out. At the column's end, upon stretchers, lay those without the strength to walk, consumed by fever, dazed or unconscious, dying. Fatigued and laden with the wounded, the Lyrians moved slow as molasses. Soon, Nilfgaard's forward elements had caught up. The Blackclads nipped at the Lyrians' tail with arrow volleys from the cover of trees and occasional forays by cavalry. They were in no hurry. They could torment their foes, weaken their spirit before the final clash. At long last, Niamh spotted a dark form spanning the river's course, Red Lobendon's bridge. Just a brief stretch more, and the Lyrians would find themselves beyond the invaders' grasp, free and clear of bogs, and the beasts that prowled them. Yet joy at this sight soon gave way to despair. The bridge was dark, black, from the horde of Nilfgaardians that held it. Clearly the Blackclads had divined the path of Niamh's flight, and had cut off her last means of escape.
That's it. We're dead men. All! They'll cut us down to the last!
Niamh shut her eyes, felt them sting with fatigue. She knew when she turned she could not show her men 1 ounce of fear, 1 pinch of doubt. She gripped her reins tightly. The leather dug into her skin, helping her hold back her tears. And when the Queen finally spoke, her voice was strong and boomed over the river's roar.
I know what you wish to hear.
The Queen began.
That the gods watch over us. That we'll come through the fray unharmed. That a friendly force is but moments away. Those would be lies. The truth is as bitter as it is undeniable. We stand cornered. Cannot win this fight. Cannot flee it. We can but choose how to die. Hanged from the boughs like common criminals, or weapons in hand, like the fighters we are. I've made my choice. Time you made yours!
With that cry, Meve broke for the bridge toward a forest of spears into a deluge of arrows. She let the tears fall from her eyes. Tears of rage, fear, fatigue. It was not until she'd almost reached the enemy line that she dared glance backward. And she saw she was not alone.
Defend the Queen! Valyria!
I smell a leak.
Thing about slings, they are well.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
We may die here today, but not on our hands and knees!
You mad? Don't shake that!
I warned you.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! We're friend, not foe!
Damn it, just gets better and better.
To the bridge! Cut the way back to the bridge! Bolster the defense!
You must sweat like a swine in that jacket.
You dirty tart.
Your life is mine now.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
For the Queen! Now, how did that incantation go?
Farmagam!
Quiet! The Commissar will hear.
Make love, not war.
A highly curious case.
Sod it all.
Gonna need, 3 buckets of nails, tub full of pegs.
Barbarians. Scheiß in Zwei! Cork it.
Your Majesty, no!
I've lost my tooth. Fun of a whore.
Discipline shall bring us victory!
God save the Queen!
Wise choice.
Order!
Egreto dum anime est, spes est.
Hail Catsapp!
Got sand aplenty in them. Your life is mine now.
Fall back, Chloe!
Meve was victorious on the banks of the Yaruga, but paid dearly for it. She lost a host of men and suffered harm herself. Yet she'd have been doomed, if not for a certain white-haired witcher. Meve longed to meet her mysterious savior, and set off in search of him as soon as the battle dust had settled. She found him with the field surgeon and learned he was none other than the Witcher Geralt. Yes, incredible as it may seem, I've heard the tale from several and can vouch for its truth. At any rate, making naught of the fact that Geralt's ears were ringing from a blow with a mace, Meve began immediately to interrogate him.
You for Faith Woodbridge?
Asked Meve, prodding him insistently. For a spell, Geralt worried his hearing was shot, but then realized the Queen had a lisp.
Worked out that way, I guess.
You guess?
Meve gagged on the blood in her mouth.
Someone hold me!
The Queen felt Geralt merited the highest honor, a knighthood. Another monarch might have delayed until a more opportune time, but not Meve. Meve delayed nothing.
Count Odo, you, sir, do the honors. Alas, I cannot because of my tooth.
For valor shown in battle, I, Meve, by the gods' grace, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, hereby do knight thee.
Geralt of Praise unknown. The bridge you felled with men from Rivia. Or so you guess. I guess it falls to me to dub thee Geralt of Rivia.
Meve had come home, though by a circuitous route, through Edern's smoking embers, Angren's beast-infested quagmires, cross Mahakam's snow-capped ridges. But she had returned, cloaked in legend, a mighty army in tow. The moment was weighty, and not to be tainted even by Geralt of Rivia's disappearance, or dare we say desertion. The hero of the battle for the bridge was now a sought man. Yet Meve was determined to take back her realm, with or without the Witcher's aid. Valyrian's daring escapade behind enemy lines, and the triumphant victory at the battle for the bridge that crowned it, breathed new life into the North's war effort. Bands of resistance fighters now swarmed the conquered lands, while Kedwen and Redania, on the verge of swearing fealty to the Emperor, suddenly broke off talks with the invader. The Nilfgaardian war machine suddenly screeched to a halt, and the tide of war turned. Facing a united North, the invader had to withdraw the bulk of its forces from Lyria and Rivia. The way was cleared for Meve to retake her lost lands, defeat General Epdahi, and depose Willem. Or perhaps mother and son would not have to fight after all.
Milady, I come at King Willem's bidding.
Prince Willems.
His Majesty proposes a meeting. No arms, no escorts.
His Majesty? Whelp's barely tall enough to reach his mother's bosom. For shame!
Silence. Let him say his piece.
His Majesty, Willem I, wishes to discuss the possibility of a truce.
He wishes to surrender? Is that his aim?
Your words, not mine, Your Grace.
I've a few more on the tip of my tongue. But save them I shall for later.
Willem I's chosen the site for the parley. In...
Willem I will choose nought. If he wishes to speak, let him meet me midst the ruins of Devil's Tower.
Understood, Your Grace. I'll relay your terms.
Willem's emissary rode off, serenaded by hisses and jeers. Frightened by the clamor, his horse reared and kicked. The rider forced his mount to obey with cracks of his crop, striking many more times than was necessary.
The fool. Nag'll toss him off first chance it gets. Soon as he loosens the reins.
No great loss, I wager. But tell me, your thoughts on this reunion?
Sounds a ruse to me. But I know that won't stop you.
Whence this certainty?
Come now, Meve. At the end of it all, he's your son. You still care about him, it's obvious.
You're absolutely right.
Perhaps let bygones be bygones. Perhaps it's not too late.
Only one way to know. Let's go.
Meve rode out clad in golden plate, her banners waving proudly overhead. She no longer led a band of ragtag partisans, but an army able to fend off an empire and drive its soldiers from her lands.
Ma'am, I've something you must see without undue delay.
Never thought I'd see the day. The Queen's returned. Know this, Your Grace. Blackclads have shut themselves up in our cities. They give no hint of surrender, show no sign of giving ground. My. What'll become of Prince Willem now? We've gathered donations to support the war effort, helping best we can to beat those black-clad devils. Know this, Your Grace. Blackclad...
Rivia. And here I feared I would see it no more.
I believed you would. I believed you could succeed, be victorious, Your Grace.
We've not arrived just yet, Reynard. Look, black flags still flutter over the cities. We've yet much work before us. More battles to fight. More blood to spill.
destruction.
Destillat Zweifel! Ja, ja!
Blood washes away all shame!
Elhörter!
Without hesitation.
Elfgard!
I'm a monster.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
My boots got sand aplenty in them.
Watch your heads!
What do you want of me?
As you command.
Scoia'tael! Attack!
Infiltrate!
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way.
Cursed traitors.
Off to the front yet again.
Go, hop, hop!
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
You sure about that?
Scheiß in zwei!
For the Queen!
Catch!
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Off to the front yet again.
Not going into the fray already, are we?
Kommissar will hear.
Pissing in the mort? Oh, you're dead.
Ach, Scheiß in zwei!
Yes, Your Grace?
It's time I attended.
Hey ho, how's my favourite queen?
It's time I attended.
I'm pleased to see you again.
Duty calls.
Of course.
Huh? What is it now?
So long on.
Always good to see the Queen.
We shall return to this.
No skin off, Mub.
Meave needed but set one foot into the Ruwode to know something was amiss. The sickening stench of rot hung in the air. Flies swarmed in thick clouds, and crows cawed in a deafening cacophony. What had caused this murder to amass? Well, Meave's scouts soon found out.
Your Majesty,
Reported a certain Sergeant Nadamur.
not far from here, past the bend, there's a cutting and it's full of bodies. Our boys and the Blackclads alike. Bodies mutilated, horribly so, guts ripped open, entrails strewn about, heads locked. Some were
Yes?
Branches embrace him, grip him tight, as if the trees they strangled him.
Hearing this, the Queen ordered a halt to their march. They would go no further, she thought, till they knew what had killed those men. Luckily, witnesses were soon found. A haggard band of resin burners emerged from a nearby dugout, black with dirt, covered in dried blood.
My lady,
Their eldest stammered.
Blackins came and started felling the wood. Forced folk to chop away, to make way for a town, they said. They pushed hard, right to the heart of the forest where the old oaks grow, and awoke some foulness. The whole camp, blackclads and loggers alike. Done in one night. No time even to draw their weapons. We was lucky. Found pits to hide in. Just heard of something huffed and puffed while talking to the trees, no less.
Reynard ordered medics to tend to the tar-makers, then turned to Meave.
We cannot wash our hands of this, Your Grace. The Nilfgaardians awoke the monster, yes, but it kills Rivians just as readily.
Meave stood at the edge of the clearing and pricked her ears. The Ruwode echoed with the cawing of crows, which seemed to perch on its every twig. She also heard the howling of wolves, and a hollow rattling, as if branches whipped in the wind, though the day was fair and still.
That Geralt. He just had to desert me.
The Queen removed her cloak to avoid snags and trundled toward the heart of the wood. Her soldiers followed, clutching cocked crossbows to sweaty cheeks.
Thank ye, Your Majesty. You'll protect us from the blackclads and monstrosities. Them blackclads don't understand the forest. Don't understand nature. They rape it. Try to take too much, too fast. We told them. Unwise to venture so deep in the wood. We told them.
The chase is on!
I smell a leak.
Tell me you jest.
That bit's the white of an eye from half a league away.
Oh, Lyrian lummoxes.
As you command.
You mad? Don't say that!
Water as a poison.
Scoia'tael! Attack! This could hurt.
Sod it. Sod it all.
We must trust each other.
Gonna need,
3 bucks for nails and a tub full of pegs.
Give me a tug.
Deep in the wood, it grew cool, with a thin fog filling the air. Neve pushed past a large branch of hazel and froze. Before her stood a tall figure, nearly human in form, save the moss-covered deer skull in place of its head. Empty eye sockets burning with naked flame, the monstrosity hurled itself at Meve with a roar.
Rally to me!
Cried Meve, raising her shield.
Everyone! Anyone, to me! Be wary. We know not what this thing can do.
Catch!
Nothing personal, I assure you.
I smell a leak.
Fascinating specimen. I must study it once we're finished.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Yes?
John.
For the Queen!
What the? That's a poison.
The Morrowind drink with our forefathers!
Don't like this.
Ha ha! Leave it to us!
Believe it's dead. Whatever that means for such a thing.
Attacked from all sides, the monster teetered and swayed, fighting off their blows with ever greater difficulty. Finally, it fell to the ground and fell apart, like an undone bundle of twigs. In disbelief, Meve towed the pile of dried branches and scraps of bark. She saw no blood, no entrails, as if no monster had ever stood there. As if it had all been a dream.
We return to the road.
Meve said, crushing the beast's deer-like skull under her heel.
Ah, and Reynard, I've a request.
Yes, Your Grace?
Once we regain the realm and return to the capital, remind me to issue an edict. No one is to enter these woods, not to log nor even to gather brush. Just in case.
Those dwelling near the Ruwode heaved a sigh of relief, and the Lyrians returned to fighting an invader who, after what they'd faced in those woods, no longer seemed so frightening.
A robust rain hither comes.
Meve arrived at the walls of Gradobor, famed for fine rugs and woven tapestries. The city's artisans had been at work, no doubt pressed by the Nilfgaardians, for atop the tallest spire, that of the town hall, flapped a lustrous ebony flag, a sun of golden threads at its center. So vast was the banner, Gascon whistled in admiration.
Gotta admit, the Blackclads certainly have panache.
And a vast and powerful army, I'd remind you.
Reynard interjected.
Arbalists line the walls. That stench in the air, hot tar. And our scouts claim the Blackclads stand armed to the hilt with the best Mahakam has to offer. Victory's not likely to come cheap, I fear.
No cost is too high,
said Meve, a hardness in her voice.
Reynard, Gascon, ready our men to attack.
The Lyrians needed no more encouragement. Since arriving, they had reveled in anticipation of taking the city, then ripping the banner from its spire.
It will be difficult, Your Grace. The walls are strong.
For the Queen! God save the Queen!
You mad? Don't shake that!
For you, pal! Anything!
Without hesitation.
Gate! Someone's opening the gate! Forward, march!
Go, pop, pop! Retreat!
Scheiß! In Trade!
Order!
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
We'll catch 'em all!
Very glad.
Cursed traitors.
Go on then, Kazir! Amergam!
Discipline shall bring us victory!
One bolt.
Life is mine now. Never had your kneecaps broken!
Herzer.
Waiting for a personal invitation?
Egreto dum anima est, spes est.
Yes.
It will be difficult, your grace.
God!
I smell a leak.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Life is mine now.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Gate! Someone's opening the gate! Forward!
Tell me you jest.
Ha 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 ha!
discipline. That is what you folk lack.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
Erigloa.
What you looking at? Oh, could murder a pint.
Zweifel!
Wise choice.
My prescription, a bit of bloodletting.
Victory, Your Grace! The city is ours!
The battle for Gradobor was a hard fight, though not quite as hard as most had thought it might be. During the assault, at its critical juncture, a blow fell from the blue. The unlikely heroes, merchants and burghers brought together by the city's guilds. A wave of them, all riled, swarmed the blackclads at the gates and opened them wide to let Lyria in.
Onward! Follow me!
As fighting died down around the city, Meve rode for the town hall on a personal quest. Nilfgaard's vast, garish banner rippled overhead. With its halyard cut, it plunged like a great black bird, stricken. It was the last any would see of the golden sun over Gradobor.
3 cheers! Hip, hip, hooray!
The Lyrians were victorious, though not without aid. Meve met with the merchants who had roused the townsfolk, inspired them to rise up and fight.
Many of my soldiers, dozens, perhaps hundreds, owe you their lives today.
Said the Queen.
For that I am deeply grateful. No, deeply indebted. Should you know a way I might repay the debt, don't for a moment hesitate to ask.
The merchants exchanged glances, nodded, grunted, agreed with each other without uttering a word. Then one, a clothfuller, his moustache most robust, stepped forth, bowed low, and spoke for them all.
Your Majesty, the invaders brought laws. Laws what don't agree with customs we've long held. Non-humans they forced us to accept. Let them join our guilds,
Sit on the city council? It's right ridiculous, it is. These treacherous dwarves, why, they've been on their side from the start, so it's no wonder. But, well, the Nilfgaardian reforms, we'd like you to revoke them. Non-humans must know their place.
An awkward silence ensued. All turned their eyes to the Queen, awaiting her response.
I agree. Non-humans must know their place,
began the Queen.
So listen closely, all. Whether elf, dwarf, gnome, or human, it matters not. My subjects are equal.
Your Grace, you said it thysen. Were it not for us...
My troops would have died, true. Yet among the dead, there'd have been dwarves of Mahakam, I've no doubt. Dwarves who agreed to fight by my side when none believed I could prevail.
The tradesman huffed, the tradesman puffed. Meve silenced them with a firm swipe of her hand. She left Gradabor that very day, furious at the city's merchants for their bigotry, and irked at an unpleasant truth, that even the vile Nilfgaardians occasionally got something right. Come nightfall, the Lyrians pitched camp. Meve sat down and stared into the fire. Her officers, advisors, kept their distance, unsure if her eyes burned with the fire's reflection or a fury deep inside. Only Gabor dared approach her.
You ken, not long back, I asked myself, Gabor, you bampot, you gone bar me? Left my home, clan, family, and for why? To follow a human queen. But the day you showed me, I made the right choice.
Gabor stood and went back to the mess tent. Had he lingered a bit longer, he'd have seen Meve smile.
Beautifully knocked those racist knoblickers down a peg. Here, here, dear queen. Beautifully knocked.
Dwarves don't let humans into Mahakam. Why have we got to let them into our homes? Well, well. Our very own queen on the Dwarf Elder's leash. Why am I not surprised? Dwarves don't let...
pays late. Again.
To the last!
You mad? Don't shake that! This could hurt.
Oh. Hurak!
Death is only the beginning! Yeah, yeah!
Very good.
You must sweat like a swine in that jacket.
Watch your heads!
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods.
Tell me you jest.
We'll catch 'em all!
Oh. Can't take it anymore.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Catch!
As you wish, lady.
Naturally. At once.
Have her done in a jiffy.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
You can pay the toll in one of two ways. In silver or in blood.
Oh.
Next, head up to...
The chase is on!
Can't take it anymore. Bettles. Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Necessity! Invention's mum.
What you looking at?
Oh. Yes?
Hi-ho, hi-ho!
Ours is not to reason why.
As the Lyrians passed a cemetery, marching along its ivy-covered wall, they heard mourners wailing pitifully to a priestess's moving song. The soldiers dutifully lowered their heads. Their minds sought out fallen comrades and kin, and they wondered whom else the war would yet claim.
Listen,
said Gascon, stirring Meve from her own meditation.
I think I'll veer off for a bit.
What for? To offer your condolences?
In a manner of speaking. But just go on. I'll rejoin you soon.
Meve nodded, spurred her mount, and rode on. By nightfall, Gascon had indeed rejoined the force. Ignoring his companion's inquisitive looks, he simply sat and stared fixedly into the fire. Meve thought Gascon would explain his absence, or at the very least devise a witty excuse for absconding. But he never uttered a word.
Good mother, grant him eternal peace. Oh, why have they left us? Milka, why?
Move that candle. To the left.
No, higher.
Move that candle.
Hmm.